Hello friends, welcome back to GM Philosophy in the Morning. I'm the GM Philosopher, and today we're talking about D&D maps, how to make them awesome. In this video, I'm going to outline a process that you can use to create awesome maps with really no artistic talent, no expensive supplies, very basic stuff you can pick up for a few dollars at the local store, and how you can work together with your group to collectively create not only a map, but also a world with rich lore, how to blend that lore together, and how to get your players super invested in it so that they will be extra pumped and excited to play in this world when your campaign begins. You are not going to want to miss this. Let's dive right into it. In my opinion, every good TTRPG campaign really begins with a solid map. A map gives you so much. It helps you to track lore, it helps you to keep your place in the world, and it helps you to demonstrate to your players what's going on in a much more visceral and detailed manner. With that being said, printing out maps that people have created online is pretty awesome. For example, I played in the world state of Greyhawk for years and years and years, printed out a huge version of it, loved it, but eventually I wanted to create my own map. And you probably want to create your own maps as well, especially if you're creating homebrew world states. So how do you do this? Especially if you're like me and you're not like an artistic genius. When I sit down to try to make actual maps that look actually high def, it's terrible. I am not a good artiste. So how do we make it work? Well, I'm going to walk you all through my process for this. And it all starts with this. Now, you've probably heard of this method before. This is not a new thing, but if you've never heard of it, you might really find that this is a fun way to start your map adventure/journey. So you start by going to the store and getting a big cardboard piece of poster paper. You could also get just big pieces of paper. You could also just tape a bunch of copy paper together to make as big a canvas as you want, but the idea is you want a pretty big canvas, and you will actually want a big canvas because you want to make your map relatively large. Then you're going to lay it down on the table, and then you're going to get together with your friends, your D&D group, your TTRPG buddies, and you're going to get a whole handful of dice, and you're going to throw these dice down onto your canvas. Then you and your friends are all going to take markers, and you're going to use the dice as guides for outlining continents and islands, and you're going to create the basics for your world map in that sense. Here are a few guidelines to follow. In large clumps of dice, consider those land masses. Where there's a lot of empty space, consider that ocean. Where there are just one or two dice kind of out by themselves, those will be little islands. And boom, if you just kind of use this as a rough guide, you're going to come up with a pretty cool outline for a map. Now, you might be saying, but GM Philosopher, this is not how you make a professional, amazing, awesome looking map. How do we do that? Well, we're going to get to that. Don't you worry about it. Next, you're going to give every member of your group one or more land masses to be in charge of. They are going to create the civilization and culture for that land mass. Depending on the number of players you have and the number of land masses on your map, you may need to divide some land masses into 2 different societies or 3 different societies, or you may need to assign multiple land masses to each person, maybe like a large continent and 2 islands, whatever it comes out to. But you want to evenly divide up the map. And then you say, okay, friends, we are now going to create lore for the map. We're going to create names for the places, and we're going to place major cities. By the way, do you struggle to come up with plot arcs on the fly? If so, I have the perfect tool for you. It is called my Ultimate Plot Randomizer. It is a free ebook. When you join my email list, you can download this for free. You'll get the link in your first email. It contains 4 D100 tables that will let you roll random plot arcs whenever you need them. Roll the hook, the conflict, and the conclusion, and even add wild and wacky stuff all right there. Download this, print it out, add it to your tool collection, and you will never go without another plot arc again. I give this away for free to help you create awesome plot arcs just like I do. I use this in almost every single session, and you are not going to want to miss out on this, so make sure you grab this. This is generally all done at a world creation session. I used to run these sessions before session 0. So when we were going to start a new D&D campaign, we would actually get together before session 0 to create the map, create the world. We call this world creation or world building. And then we would all work on this together. We would get basically the basics all down, and then we would walk away from it all knowing the lore of the world. I would like email it or print it out for everyone, and then they would take that and start creating characters, because now they can create rich backstories, and they can even use the lore that they had a hand in creating. Now, you can run this lore creation process in a couple different ways. You could actually do this in your own time, or you could all work on it together. What worked really well for my core in-person group was we create the map, we create the continents, we name all the continents, and then I sat down, I opened my laptop. I'm a pretty fast typer because I'm a writer by trade. And so then I would just go person to person. It's like, okay, tell me about your land masses. What is the name? Tell me a little bit about it. Tell me a little bit about its history. Are there any major cities? Let's write down a little bit of lore for those. And we get a real basis for the base lore. Now, if you have a group who likes to get a little deeper into the writing aspect of it than this, then you could actually create your map, have everyone take a picture of it with their phone. You could correspond with them over the course of the next, week or two, or however long it is till session 0, and you could send each other documents. You could use Google Docs for this. They are free and they're easy to edit and they're easy to share and send to each other. If you have an online group, you can still do this. Even if you're not all in the same room when you roll the dice and you draw the continents, you could actually do this on your own and then take a picture of it and share it online. You could even go to the extent of uploading that image to a product like Canva. You could use Canva for free. You could create a canvas there, grab the marker, and you could overlay it with a digital version and then send that to your players. It's very easy with a little bit of work and zero artistic skill to transcribe a physical drawing that you have a picture of, import it into Canva, draw over it with a marker, erase your previous layer, and boom, now you have a brand new digital version of what you had before. And all you had to do was give it a little drawing with a marker. You could use the mouse, or if you have a pad, even better. And boom, this puts it in a digital format, and you can even share Canva projects with other people. And so this, you could all work on it together collectively like this. If some people are a little uncomfortable with the idea of using Canva, you could have them sketch it out, take a picture, send it to you, and you could put it into Canva, laying out the text and everything. Now, there are other like art programs that you can do this in. I just use Canva because it's really easy, and I'm a graphic artist novice. So for me, that works super well. And you can share the documents with people, which is actually pretty cool. But that's how you could do it if you're running an online group. If you don't have an in-person group, you can still make this work exactly the same, just with a couple slight differences in utilizing some technology. All right, so at this point, we have the basic land masses, we have cities, we know the locations of cities, and we have a little bit of city lore. This is great for background. We also have continent lore and landmass lore. This is really, really cool. And this gives us a basis that we can actually use to start playing. But now the question is this: how do I turn this map into an amazing professional map that just looks incredible? Well, I'm going to share with you the steps that I would take to make that happen. And there are basically 2 different directions to go in. Now, it is possible that you can use a program like Midjourney, an AI image generator, to create maps for you. If you're going to do this, what you might do is use the program to create your land masses first, and then send them to your players and let them pick out continents and name them and create lore for them. The reason is because it's really difficult to get Midjourney to create exactly what you want in terms of land masses. Let me show you my world map real quick. I'm going to project it onto the screen here. This is my most up-to-date version of my Regenesis world state map. In the background, the map itself was actually created in Midjourney, but then I put that image into Canva and I laid over it with lines, city names, and stuff like that. And then you can see how I even used Midjourney to create smaller village maps within that. So this is totally something that you can do with AI art. You could also possibly use ChatGPT's DALL-E to do this. However, I also know that a lot of people are not super pumped about the idea of using AI art in their D&D games. And so if you are one of those people, here is my next, basically 2-part piece of advice for getting your map from very basic lines and words to looking like an awesome, legit fantasy map. The first part of this would be actually my preferred method, which would be find out which one of your player characters is the best artist. If you have 5, 6, 7 people in your group, odds are good that one of you is going to stand out as being more artistic than the others. In my roleplay group, there were definitely 2 players, like in my core group, there were definitely 2 players who actually had really cool, good artistic talent. And I actually, in my first iterations of different world maps, I would ask them, hey, would you mind every time we get together for D&D, if you would come over a little early or you can stay a little later? I'll buy you an energy drink. And then you can just spend a little bit of time working on the map, drawing it out. Or even better, take it home with you and work on it if you're willing to. Now, the idea here is tapping into the talent of your group, the best that your group has to offer, to collaborate to make your own map. Just do the best you can. It may not end up perfect if you don't have anyone who's like a professional artist in your group, but you can make it so much better than just lines and words. Another option is you can have every person who made the background and lore information for each continent do the drawing or the designing on that continent. This yields very mixed, but interestingly enough and ironically special results, because what you end up with is these continents with these different art styles. If you're like me, you draw little trees, it's just like a line with little lines coming off of it. You draw mountains that are just like points with little crests on them. Little villages just look like houses or a little castle symbol, but that gives it a little bit of character. And if you let everyone do the art for their own continents, this actually creates a very special, sort of endearing piece of art. And I'm going to tell you what, that is something that you might want to take care of, frame, put it up on your wall, because that is actually high key special. You can take a high definition photo of it, make printouts of it to play with, but that original is actually a very cool and amazing piece of art. Depending on the size, you may also be able to actually scan it into a computer, which is actually surprisingly hard to do with like larger canvases. You might have to take it to someone to do that, but it is something that can be done. Hey, real quick, are you tired of rolling the same old dungeon loot using these same old methods time after time, game after game? Well, I have a solution for you. This is how I roll all of my dungeon loot now. It's a book I created called The Ultimate Dungeon Loot Randomizer. This book contains 10 massive D100 tables full of awesome dungeon loot. Roll on a table for mundane items, slightly magical dungeon items, mundane weapons and armor, magical weapons and armor, individual pieces of treasure, magic scrolls, potions and elixirs, cursed items, forgotten wonders and otherworldly relics, and even full chests of treasure and loot. This book is now available on my Blurb bookstore in 3 different versions. There's a hardcover option, a softcover option that's more affordable, and a super affordable digital ebook option. It's even system agnostic, meaning you can use it with any fantasy TTRPG system, and you can just adapt it to the rule set you're using. Link is in the description. Don't miss out. Grab it today. That being said, let's just assume that you and or your group either don't have the artistic skills to cut it, or you just don't want to do that. Maybe all of you don't have the time, or maybe you all think, we don't want to draw our own map. We want our map to look something like official, like something Wizards of the Coast would put out, something really incredible. And if this is the case, I would highly encourage you to go to a website called Fiverr. On Fiverr, you can hire professional freelancers to do all kinds of things, including fantasy map making. Now, I'm not going to share this on the screen because I don't want to show these things and have a potential copyright thing. And eventually this will get out of date and that would just be messy. But I do want to put the URL of Fiverr on the screen, and I want to read you some of the listings that I found just to give you an idea of what I found right now looking on Fiverr for fantasy map creation for exactly this type of project, to give you an idea about what it would cost. And this is the thing, this will cost a little bit, but this will actually probably be the most likely to yield the most professional results for your own custom map. Now, let me just also say that I have used Fiverr for all kinds of creative projects. I have had YouTube thumbnails designed on Fiverr. I have had ebooks literally designed on Fiverr. I've hired video editors on Fiverr, not for this channel, for other channels I used to run. I've hired voiceover actors on Fiverr. I have done all kinds of things on Fiverr. And let me tell you this, you would be amazed at the level of quality you can get from these amazing freelance artisans. And let me just read you. I typed in the search bar, I typed in fantasy map. And let me just read you a few of the listings that I found. And I'm not going to show them on screen because this is going to get dated, but I just want to give you an example. One ad from someone said, I will make a fantasy map for you. And there's a picture of an incredible fantasy map right on the page. The service starts at $40. I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds pretty reasonable. Another person says, I'll make a fantasy map for RPG, fantasy, D&D novels, or board games from $45, offers starting at $45. Someone else said, I will draw a custom map for fantasy, sci-fi, board, or board games starting at $70. Someone else says, I will create custom fantasy or sci-fi maps for your RPG or novel starting at $20. So here's the thing. If you supply your layout and the stuff you've already created and you say, hey, make this look amazing. Like, it might not be the minimum cost. There might be like upcharges or whatever, but the images I'm looking at, and you just look it up, Fiverr.com, type in fantasy map, and you're going to be blown away by the stuff that artists can help you create. And the difference between a real artisan and using AI is exactly this. And this is something that a lot of people point out and they're right about. With AI, you don't really have any control over any of the specifics of the shapes of the continents or anything like that. There's no way to control that. But you can hire an artist to do this, and they can make it actually very accurate to what your party created in the world building stage of your campaign setting. And then you're going to come up with a very professional map, amazing map. You can go get it printed out on a large sheet of paper or print it out and then tape it together. You can put it up on your wall. It's going to be amazing. You are going to have a world state that all your players are emotionally connected to. They help to build it. They have stock in this process now. This is a big deal. You're going to have something you can literally build lore in for years and years and years to come, which is amazing. And it doesn't even cost that much. All it is it's your creativity working together with your players. You start with very basic stuff, and then you gradually move into the realm of getting a professional version drawn up. You don't even have to wait until it's done to start playing. You can start playing and do that as a side project. Get it done a month later, 2 months later. You can even all pitch in a little money, right, to make it happen, to hire the person you want to create your map for you. This is a no-brainer. This is amazing. And to be really honest, this is one of the best ways to generate a professionally crafted homebrew map that is specific to not only your game, but your players. So with that being said, that's about all I have to say on this topic. I think that this is a really awesome way to make maps. I have used this process, actually, the whole thing before. Now, the one map I did get professionally drawn was not drawn by a Fiverr artist. I actually knew an artist who I paid to draw my map for me, but that was someone I knew personally. Fiverr would work just as good, if not even better, because there are like hundreds of listings for options to hire creators who will do an amazing job. And here's the thing. You could start this process with no money. I mean, literally, you go to any store and buy a pack of cheap markers and a poster board and start it with your group. And then you can just work on it as you get the time and money. And that's okay. There isn't a high level of pressure to get it perfect right away when you're gaming with your friends. And that's one of the amazing things about TTRPGs. So that's going to be all I have to say on this one. That's my 2 cents. And I hope that you have found this video valuable. Leave me a comment. Let me know how you've created awesome maps for your D&D games. Thank you once again for stopping by and watching one of my videos. I'm here every single day creating videos about the best game in the world, D&D. So I will see you awesome people on the next one.